a world where losing in your fantasy football league isn't an option, we present to you Triple Coverage Podcast.
Hey YouTubers, if you like what you see, make sure you click subscribe below. Today we're going to do our Truther episode. We're going to plant our flags in the players that we love, and we're going to tell you why. So crack a cold one and enjoy.
In a world where losing in your fantasy football league isn't an option, we present to you Triple Coverage Podcast.
Tell them what to do about the weed. Stay off it.
Forget about it. It's
Stay
not
off
an issue, bro.
Stay off the weed.
In some states, it's legal. If you're looking for Ronald Jones truthers, then you are in the wrong spot.
Correct. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Kalen
Garbage.
Kalen Garbage.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. It's Truther Day. I'm here with the boys at TCP. I'm here with James Up and Jay Up.
What's up, dudes? Whoop whoop.
And ladies, I'm Travis Sutton. And we are going to talk about guys that we're truthers for. You know, you always hear about, oh, I'm such and such a truther. I'm a Sammy Watkins truther. I'm a Amari Cooper truther. You see that on guys' Twitter bios and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's always those guys that you just believe in, and like almost regardless of this present situation, if it's not favorable, you don't care.
Doesn't care.
Those things change. But talent does not. So, does anybody want to start?
I'll start if you want me to. Sure. I mean, mine's pretty easy. If you listen to any episode whatsoever, we're about, 200 episodes in now? Roughly. Been doing it for about a year. My boy, I would call it more of a man crush, Derrick Henry.
Okay.
Tennessee Titans running back. Many times, actually, I was offered trade value for him, and it was actually a pretty good value. And there was actually a couple week span when DeMarco Murray left Tennessee, and before they signed Dion Lewis, and I still held on to this guy because I am a truther. I like his style. He's the old school throwback style to me. He can catch, even though I don't throw to him quite a bit. He's a more of an Emmitt Smith type mold to where he's going to wear down the defenses. Like, he needs those carries to kind of bring him in the fourth quarter with the lead and just wear down that defense. And if they get worn out, he's the guy that's going to break one off to the house, which you saw a couple times last year.
So do you still believe in him as much as you did before DeMarco Murray left? Like, when DeMarco Murray was there, clearly you believed in him, and everyone, there was a Henry truther, but
Right.
all said the same thing. When Murray leaves here, it's going to be Henry. He's going to this and this.
It's gonna be bananas.
It's going to be crazy, blah, blah. As soon as he left, and you were like just cheesing like a mother, and you just went to bed happy every single night thinking, man, this is it. Like, he's going to be RB1. And then they went out and signed Lewis. Did your value of, like, being a truther, like, did it still stay at a 10? Or did it kind of get knocked down a rung and be like, you know what, I still love him, but I really wish I wouldn't have signed Dion Lewis?
No, it still stayed at a 10. Of course, I wish they wouldn't have signed Dion Lewis. I mean, that's goes without saying. But I still am at a top 10.
I disagree
level with him.
Sometimes when people say that. It's because, like, I don't mind if there's a second guy there. I think that in the grand scheme of things, if your guy that's splitting time is still getting the bulk of the carries and the options at the goal line and the short yardage and all the other stuff in between, I don't mind him having a guy back there to, like, take some of the load off by getting some receptions and doing whatever. My guy's getting 60 or 70% of the touches. I'd rather that than the guy getting 100%, because to me, I always hate guys that get injured, and that just opens the book for the guy to get hurt when he's touching the ball 300 to 350 times a game. If you can keep the guy around 250 times a season, if you can keep it towards 250 touches a season, I like the guy a little bit more. He might get less carries and touches, but he's going to have quality runs where he's actually 100% healthy.
Yeah, and I try to own him in every format that I've had, actually. In a Dynasty League, I try to get him in redraft, and we were in our first year of a keeper league, and we just had to declare our keepers, and the guy that has Henry, I was hoping he might let him go, but he kept him in the 7th round.
Who's that?
Daryl.
Oh, Daryl. Daryl's keeping Henry?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
7th rounder.
So
Yeah.
it's good value. 7th
Yeah,
round.
for sure.
So yeah, I was hoping he would throw him back in, so I could try and scoop him up. But obviously that's gone. But I'm still a truther. I'm still going to stand behind him. And,
I think
Stay there.
that's a good indicator of who your truthers on. Is guys that you try to acquire like everywhere you can.
right.
You've created that narrative for yourself that this is a guy I need to have.
But especially being on this show or doing a podcast or being open as we are with our opinions, it's very hard because as soon as you establish the fact that like, wow, this guy's going out and getting this guy in every league, and then you come to that guy that owns him,
He's gonna want the
he's
world.
he doesn't care what you're offering. He's gonna want double that because he knows that you're so into this guy that you're willing to pay whatever to own him. So now it's like, I'm going to gouge you. And if it's somebody else that came to him, maybe he gets him a little bit cheaper. But once he knows your true feelings about the guy, he's like, okay, why do you love this guy so much? Okay, I better charge a little bit more for him because of that factor, because he thinks that you know something or whatever.
Right.
It's kind of hard, that's all.
And I plant my flag on him. If he has end up having a bad career, then I'm not going back on it. Like I'm
That's
true.
right.
Sinking with the ship.
You sinking with the ship.
Yeah.
Going down in flames.
That's it.
Yeah. What about Travis? Name a guy. I know there's 40 of them. Who do you really love, bro? Who do you love? Besides me and Jay. I'm a
well,
Jay up truther.
Playing flag on Jay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start off with kind of the guy at the top of my list. Just because of recent events that have kind of validated my trutherhood, I guess. For a while now, I've been kind of a truther of Chad Kelly. I've had him stashed in Dynasty for over a year, like after he came in. Even though this guy was drafted as the very last pick, 253rd pick of a NFL draft.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. It was very intriguing to me. The year before, they took Paxton Lynch with the first round pick. I think the talent was there. He got injured, so his final season wasn't nothing to write home about. But his 2015 season was pretty good. It was, his completion percentage was like 65%, over 4,000 yards, which was number one in the SEC. 31 touchdowns. That was number one in the SEC. And he rushed for 500 yards and 10 touchdowns. So the guy's got dual capability as a quarterback, and the talent is there. It's always been kind of the off-field stuff, the stuff with his brother running onto the field. He got snubbed, didn't go
It was
to
a
the
hell of a
combine.
tackle.
He had wrist surgery, which got him put on the NFI last year, so you didn't see or really hear anything about him. But just following stuff like we do in fantasy football, Cecil Lammey does work with the Broncos, and he'd always come out talking about Paxton Lynch and Chad Kelly, and the things that he was saying about Chad Kelly kind of like perked my ears up a little bit. I was like, that's interesting. That even though he had no shot of playing or doing anything, and he couldn't really practice because he was on the NFI, like practice with the team, he was still going out after practice and doing some of the things that, sitting back watching football, you want to see from your guys. Like my man over here likes Jake Kumaro a lot, and because of his work ethic. So it seemed like that work ethic was there. He's got some family ties. He's the nephew of Jim Kelly. All these little narratives that you can start to put together, and you're like, ooh, yeah, I like this guy. Oh, I could see this guy kind of coming to fruition a little bit.
You're gushing.
So he was drafted. He got wrist surgery like 2 weeks before the NFL draft. Couldn't throw for like 3 months. Still got drafted. Like he couldn't go out and show anything to anybody. Didn't get invited to the combine. So clearly, the talent really wasn't an issue. It was just, hey, we don't really have to depend on this guy. We got a first round pick. We'll see what happens with this guy. And he's kind of come on this year. Now the QB2 back there behind Case Keenum.
He's looked good in preseason this year.
Yeah, he has. He's got that mentality. He almost looks like he can play football. Like he's a football player. And he's out there slinging it around a little bit, making plays. I still think he's going to have a learning curve. Obviously, this is the first time he's ever got on the NFL field with competition. So yeah, I planted my flag in him after hearing a few things. Stashed him away on my taxi squad or IR last year because he was hurt. And I have him pretty much across the board in my leagues.
Right.
So yeah, these last few weeks of seeing kind of what he's actually doing, it feels good. It feels good.
I like that they don't really owe too much to Case Keenum either. Like they went out and gave him a 2-year deal, but it's not like they owe him anything. They didn't sign him to a long-term contract, and if Keenum doesn't work out, that kind of opens the door. It's not like he's sitting behind Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Drew Brees. Like he's sitting behind Case Keenum. And Case Keenum's good, but it's not like he's got the world in front of him. You know what I mean?
And even last year, it was like Trevor Siemian, and there was nobody that really scared you away. He's like, look, hey, if everything breaks right, this kid could get a chance. And I'm not saying he's going to come in and necessarily take over as a starter, but
That's possible.
The possibility is there. So
Right.
I agree.
I like
Chad
that.
Kelly's my man.
Man crush time.
Man crush.
For me, my main truther is Christian McCaffrey. I think that it all started when I drew the second and I think third pick of our rookie draft for the season that he came out, and everyone was very high on the Corey Davises, Dalvin Cook, the Joe Mixons, and so on and so forth. All those running backs that kind of came out together, Leonard Fournette. Everyone was on those guys. Leonard Fournette went number 1, and it came time for me to make a decision on who am I going to plant my flag on. I was like, you know what? I really love Corey Davis coming out, and I really liked Christian McCaffrey coming out. I took McCaffrey at 2, Corey Davis at 3, and from that moment on, I'm like, okay, I might have to wait a little bit on this guy, whatever, but whatever it is, I want to own shares of him just to see how it works out. He ended up having a ridiculously good season in Carolina. He had 80 catches last year. He did everything the right way, and I just liked that when he came out of Stanford, he did everything. Like, he ran the ball. He caught the ball. He played special teams. He did punt returns. He did kick return. He was on the field as much as possible, and I thought that he did great in Stanford and show what he can do. And I knew that if he landed in the right spot, that he would have an opportunity pretty quick, and he landed in Carolina, where all they had was Jonathan Stewart. Before you know, the guy's getting 80 catches. So I don't see his... I see him progressing and getting more carries, and maybe his reception staying the same. But as far as like wanting to own him in every league, I have him in 2 out of the 3 dynasty leagues. The third dynasty that I don't, the guy's not going to give him up for anything. It's only a half a point PPR, and Jared, is not going to give him up. He picked a lot of rookies that year that they came out and is traded to get a lot of rookies. Now they're in their second year, and he's willing to plant his flag and just wait on all these guys and doesn't care. So I tried. He wants too much. And in a half-point PPR, he's not as valuable as a full-point PPR, even though he's still good. I think in a half-point PPR, he finished like number 20-something, 21 maybe. But in a PPR league, he finished 10th in our league. So he's a top 10 guy already coming into his second year, one of the youngest running backs in the entire NFL, 22 years old. He's got a long career ahead of him as long as he, stays healthy. And so far, he's done that his entire career. He's never had any major injuries, so I like that too. Yeah. Well, I'm saying in college too.
Gush City.
Never had any.
He has those bloodlines too. Like you can talk about Chad Kelly
Ed
and
McCaffrey,
Jim
right?
Kelly. It's Ed McCaffrey was his dad. Yeah. So and he was a really good receiver.
Yeah. So he knows. I like that he's not afraid to go across the middle, even though he's a smaller type of guy. He's not afraid to go between the tackles if they let him. He's never had a fumbling problem. He's got sure hands, and he's very quick. As he gets him out in the open field, and you're one-on-one with the guy, he's just a hard guy to tackle.
You should have been wearing your jersey today.
You know what? I had it in here for this episode, but we kind of changed things up, so I didn't get a chance to bring it back in the room.
I know in that format also you get some points for carries. So if he's getting more inside work this year,
then his value will definitely go up.
His value go up in that league a little bit.
That's true. So he's definitely not letting him go.
From what we've seen so far in preseason, I'm not like overly impressed with C.J. Anderson. So I like McCaffrey even a little bit more.
Yeah, I almost, and like I was saying with your take on Derrick Henry, I almost like that he's not the every down back. I know that no matter what happens, Carolina will have somebody else there to kind of take some of the pressure off him as far as the first and second down carries. But when third down comes, he's the guy that's going to be on the field getting the catches. He's even working some of the red zone and goal line stuff where they split him out, how like Philly used to use Darren Sproles, because he's so short and small that he can actually run in between the tackles or get outside and he kind of gets lost in the shuffle. You're not bringing in this guy that's 250 pounds like LeGarrette Blount, where it's like, okay, LeGarrette Blount's in the game, guys. Everyone join the goal line because obviously they're running right at the middle. So he can kind of, get out there and do different things on the goal line.
Yeah, he's definitely a focal point of that offense. So
I love it.
He's heavily involved.
Cam Newton's not going anywhere anytime soon. They just got DJ Moore to beef up their wide receiver core, and you have Christian McCaffrey. I think all 3 of those guys have a bright future.
You truthing those guys too now? Oh.
I'm a truther on DJ Moore, but that's not part of this episode. Jay?
I'm going to go back to the same position here, running back. And I kind of planted my flag on this guy. And this is a dynasty guy I kind of planted my flag on. I won't take this guy in redraft. He's just not in my hindsight in redraft. But Corey Grant from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I started kind of watching him a little bit 2 years ago. Every time they give this guy an opportunity, he's actually played really well. In my opinion, he's the type of guy that if anything does happen to Fournette, he's going to kind of take on a full load. He can catch. I know they'll use T.J. Yeldon in the receiving part of it, but I think he's going to get first down and goal line. And he played at a school, Auburn, so he had good competition in college as well. He's coming into his 4th year now, and I think that they're starting to realize that in camp when you see all these little blurbs about how they want to get him the ball more and get him a little bit more,
involved
playing time. Yeah, he's somebody that I own in every dynasty league we have. I went out and got him actually off of waivers in 2 of them, and he's somebody that I'm going to hold on to because I'm a truther on Corey Grant.
What's your feelings on Corey Grant, Travis?
I like Corey Grant. I like Yeldon better. I think Yeldon is the guy that's going to get those early down works, and but I do like Corey Grant. I think he's a good football player for sure.
I think he's just again one injury away from being very relevant if Leonard Fournette does get hurt. So.
That's why he's not so much in redraft for me. Unless you own Fournette and you want to handcuff, that'd be the guy who I'd handcuff. I'm not into that.
No. No, I think him and TJ Yeldon will split.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I wouldn't own either one of them. Or back up either one, I should say. Travis, anybody else you're truthing on? Or
Yeah,
not really?
yeah.
No?
I'll go down a little bit
Yeah, you will.
on this guy.
Us?
You know me, I don't care, right? It
We all
doesn't
know.
make a difference to me. I like to go after guys whose value is depressed, especially in Dynasty. This is definitely a Dynasty kind of play. But Kevin White, I like the talent and the metric profile of Kevin White. And I think the small sample size, which is super small, that you've seen of him on the field, the guy's got some talent. His family, everybody in his family plays football. He's got a brother that just got drafted this year in the league. So he's got the size, he's got the speed. He ran a 4.35 at the combine. He did 23 bench reps, which was tied for first. So the guy's got some strength. He's 6'3". He's got a lot of stuff. His senior year, he had 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's a lot for a college wide receiver. So I like that there. His problem was
Staying healthy.
bad luck or brittle
Yeah.
bones. I'm not quite sure which one it is.
He
But
needs milk.
he needs calcium. Yeah,
Mhm.
lots of calcium. 2015, he had the tibia stress fracture. It was the shin deal when he
Mhm.
first came in. It was an OTA, so you never really got to see him in 2015. The next year, he got a fibula. It was the tibia the first year, the fibula fracture the second year, along with a high ankle sprain. So you didn't get to see him that year.
How skinny are his legs? Because
They
I have
must-
pretty skinny
they
legs.
must be.
Like
They must
Keon
be-
Clark?
They must be twins. And then last year it was the fractured scapula. Came in like week 1.
It's like the scary thing is that, like you said, it's all bone. It's all like broken bone stuff. It's not like hamstrings. It's not like a torn ACL. It's not like a knee injury. It's not like, you know what I mean. It's all like bone stuff, which is kind of scary that this guy gets hit one time.
Well, I hear you, but I would actually have a guy have broken bones than like torn.
But
ligaments.
three of them 3 years in a row is a little suspect. If it
Yeah,
happens
it's-
once or twice, it's like all right. But 3 times in a row, it's like what's wrong with this dude's bones?
No,
Do you think it's more like a Keenan Allen, like he's just really unlucky? Because like that's all these weird.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's very.
Or do you think it's
that's possible.
osteoporosis? Like it's the first signs of osteoporosis.
Is this an infomercial?
Yeah.
If you have it, osteoporosis. That's like infomercial.
So I've been trying to acquire some Kevin White, and I'm planting my flag on Kevin White because I think it's one of those guys that almost like lottery tickets. Like if it doesn't pan out, you're probably not dependent on him. But if he does kind of happen, then you look like a genius.
I feel like that would have been a great commercial.
Well, I like that though.
Like,
because-
speaking of weak bones, if you guys have weak bones, this is a product we're gonna try selling.
Kevin White's a sponsor.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of the same with Corey Grant. Like he's not somebody you're keen on a redraft, but it's like you go out and you get him super cheap in Dynasty. You can get him off the waiver wire, or you can trade like a 4th or 5th round pick, and you can grab that guy. And like you said, it's a lottery ticket. You just hold
Yeah.
on to him.
For sure.
It's
see
like
what
it's like
happens.
taking a deep sleeper or a flyer pick in a redraft league is what you do in a dynasty league for a 5th round pick or a waiver wire ad. It's kind of the same thing. You're hoping for magic to happen. If it does, that's going to be gigantic for every one of your teams since you own them in every league.
Right.
That now you're going to be successful in every one of those leagues. And if he doesn't work out, you hold on for a year, maybe a year and a half, and then who cares? What it really cost you? Nothing.
Yeah, clearly most of these guys are probably toward the bottom of your roster. They're not like your cut guy,
But
they're a guy that you can kind of.
But if people that are listening are in their first dynasty league and maybe they have like 25 roster spots and these guys are available in some of these leagues, throw them on your roster and be a truther with us. Take a chance with us. You're not using those guys anyway. For the most part, the guys that are number 23, 24, 25 on your roster, throw a guy on here like this and
unless you're just
and
an
pray.
awesome evaluator of talent and everybody on your roster is
stacked, then
it's
you're
possible.
winning championships.
25, now that I'm kind of
I know.
getting into Dynasty, is kind of a smaller. When they
It's
talk
not
about,
enough.
When they talk about smaller rosters, they're always like, 23, 24, 25. So that's kind of the smaller end. So some of these guys,
30.
you got to be careful about
Mhm.
who you cut for some of these guys.
Yeah, I want to have a 40-man roster. Like there's guys I still want to go out and pick up.
I'm just not sold on them yet, but I would love to have my roster wait.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. My next guy is going to be a wide receiver by the name of Keelan Cole. He's coming into his 2nd season. I think last season didn't get much of a run until the very, very late, weeks 10 through 17. And when he got that run and got his chance, he did very well with Blake Bortles. And with Blake Bortles, we were all talking about is going to be losing his job. He's going to be getting cut and so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden he starts rattling off some wins. They go to the playoffs and they go to the AFC, deep in the playoffs. Keelan Cole, to me, after they move on from Allen Robinson, they move on from Allen Hurns, and it's basically Marquise Lee, D.D. Westbrook and Keelan Cole. And to me, it's a complete up for grab job for that number 1 and number 2 receiver spots. And he's only in his second year, like I just said. He's been working out with Keenan McCardell, who is also another famous Jacksonville Jaguars receiver, working on him with his routes, his hands, everything like that. It looks good to me. And now I actually am a believer in Blake Bortles. I think he's a viable quarterback that's just an average or a little bit above average. You have Leonard Fournette there, second year. You have all this talent that is around this Jacksonville offense, but the defense to me is why I believe in most of the guys in Jacksonville, because they're not going to have to force anything. The talent is going to rise to the top here. It's not going to be like Bortles is going to throw the ball 50 times a game. But I think that Keelan Cole should be the most targeted wide receiver on this team, and if he's not, then he's the second best. And if you can get this guy off your waiver wire, I have him in all 3 leagues that I'm in Dynasty, and I got him on the super, super cheap. I mean super cheap. 4th round pick for one of them. I think I gave you a 3rd for him, but it was part of another deal. The other one I gave up. I can't remember who it was, but I got Lamar Miller and Keelan Cole in return, and I loved it. I could not get any more of Keelan Cole unless I tried.
And he was an undrafted free agent out of Kentucky Wesleyan, so you really didn't hear about this guy until he.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, last year he really only had like about 7 or 8 games that he was the actual starting receiver after a couple guys went down and got hurt. He finished with 42 catches, 750 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So the production's there, and I think that he's only 6'1", he's not huge, but I just think that he could be the number 1 option there in Jacksonville by the season end. And if you can get a guy for a 5th round or a 4th round pick that could potentially be the number 1 receiver on the team, it's well worth it to me, and I'm all in on Keelan Cole. Second year only. I mean,
yeah, I think as far as talent-wise, the 2 most talented receivers should be Keelan Cole and D.D. Westbrook.
I agree.
I like Westbrook myself. He has Marquise Lee in front of him, and that's the guy they pay all the money to, so he's going to get first crack. I'm not a believer in Dante Moncrief.
He's been running the last 3 practices since the game ended last week. He's been running with the ones as well. So far in training camp, looks like it is Westbrook, Lee, and Keelan Cole, and to me, all 3 of them are getting their chance to run with the one, so they're all going to have the rapport with Blake Bortles. I'm not really worried about Moncrief that they brought in. I think that he's the odd man out as of right now, and I think those other 3 guys we just named have a very good opportunity to have a good season, a big season.
Yeah, I think Moncrief's another guy that has been unlucky with injuries, because
sure.
he got banged up again in Jacksonville when he went there, so he just never had a chance to really get on there and whatever.
I think he's going to be a great red zone guy for him. I think that in short yardage, red zone, and goal line, I think that he'll succeed for touchdown wise, just like he did in Indianapolis. But as far as the volume wise, I like Keelan Cole and Westbrook.
Moncrief, and no matter how minor the injury is, when he's missing time, he's just getting more and more behind these other guys.
Right.
Like it's not
no
like
rapport with
it's not like they don't have depth, because that's the one thing Jacksonville does have in receiving it is depth.
Like, they have Chark too, right?
Chark,
I keep hearing great things about him too.
And Alan Lazard. So
yeah.
it's not so.
What is his name?
Lazard.
You can't say it normal. Come on.
But missing Moncrief, missing time, with whatever injury he's got now, it's just putting him further and further behind.
Like this receiving core to me, I don't know why I'm so intrigued by it, but I cannot wait to see how this shakes down, because I legit think that they have 4 or 5 really young, talented wide receivers that is at Blake Bortles' disposal, and then you throw in Austin Seferian-Jenkins is there now, and Leonard Fournette. Like this offense could be a very high-scoring offense fantasy-wise.
I'm just worried fantasy-wise because
their defense.
No, not their defense, but because you don't know. Like, what if it's a different receiver literally every week, and you're just not sure who to play? Because I love Westbrook too,
that could happen.
And I own Westbrook in 2 leagues, and I would like to play him, but it's like, is it going to be one of those situations where Keelan Cole's the stud week 1, and he's not a stud again until week 4, and then week 6 he's a stud again.
But if you're a D.D. Westbrook truther, which I think you are, because you've been on D.D. Westbrook for a while now, you actually traded him in one league, or traded for him. You gave a first-round pick at one point, correct?
Yeah, it was part of the deal. Yeah, it was first-round pick for Westbrook and
a couple other people.
Yeah, 3.
Okay.
A defense and a kicker.
Yeah.
Legatron
for my playoff push. It got me all the way to the Super Bowl and lost.
Bridesmaid again.
Yeah, always.
I tried, bro. I tried.
Back-to-back years.
I wanted you to be sitting next to me in the champion circle.
No, but it ended up working out good. It ended up working out good though, because I still have Jacksonville's defense, and I still have Legatron over there. I have Zerline, so I'm okay with the trade though. With giving up that first. I don't know what you turned that first into, but
I don't either.
I think it might have been my first. So it
probably got traded 2 more times after that.
It could have been.
Any other? We're at 24 minutes. We can throw out another 1 or 2 guys if you want.
Yeah, if we make this last guy quick, I'm going to go super deep dynasty-wise. Chris Warren, Oakland Raiders running back. If you haven't heard of him, go back and look at the first 2 preseason games of 2018, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. He's bigger than anybody else on their roster, and I've said it many times here. You have 4 guys right now on the roster that are, quote unquote, ahead of him on the depth chart. 3 of them are free agents at the end of this year. Unless they're going to go out and they're going to really go after someone like Le'Veon Bell next year, then Chris Warren's going to have a role. I think he makes the team this year. They're not going to put him on the practice squad because they don't want to lose this guy. I think Jalen Richard is the odd man out, and the only guy they have under contract into 2020 is DeAndre Washington. I just looked it up. So you have Lynch, who's possibly leaving. You have Doug Martin, who's possibly leaving, and Jalen Richard, who's going to be leaving as a free agent. That leaves just Warren and DeAndre Washington, and there's nobody else close to this guy's size on the Oakland Raiders staff.
Washington gonna be walking in like Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
So Chris Warren is somebody that this guy's definitely a year away. This is not somebody that's going to make any noise this year.
Okay, but let's say Marshawn Lynch gets hurt, back surgery, he needs back surgery or something crazy like he's always had. Like, do you think that Chris Warren and Doug Martin start splitting?
No, I still don't think that. I don't think that Warren has any kind of relevance this year. I think he's 1 year away.
He's a sit and wait.
It's a little early.
It is. I still think there's a possible chance that he might be the goal line guy or something if somebody gets hurt or whatever. If he's doing what he's doing so far and he keeps doing that, they're gonna want to get him some kind of touches just to see like in game, you know what I mean, in the regular season and see what he can do. If he starts running over guys like Marshawn Lynch, it could be Marshawn Lynch 1 and Chris Warren could be the backup. If Doug Martin, you know Doug Martin is, man. Doug Martin can disappear for 10 weeks at a time and you never hear from him.
Right.
He's very up and down.
I think
he takes Molly and
I
stuff.
think Martin makes a team. I think Martin makes a team, and I think that DeAndre Washington makes a team. Richard's an odd man out, like I said, but even though I'm a truther on Warren, I still believe he's a year away. I don't think he's going to have any kind of relevance this year.
But when you're a truther, you could be 7 years away. It doesn't matter. You're still going to be
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I don't care if he doesn't play for 10 years.
Dude's going to be a stud. Even if it's not for the Raiders, he's going to be a stud.
Okay, I agree. Travis, any other name you want to throw out?
I like him too. I could spitball something.
Throw us one more.
Let me see what I got.
You have a whole list, so just pick any one of those man crushes there.
It's like the list is longer than a CVS pharmacy receipt.
I'm gonna go kind of the same way I went with Kevin White here. So another guy that I've liked his profile. I've liked his, I guess his abilities.
Size.
What little bit you've seen, his college tape is pretty nice as a running back up in Seattle, who's kind of buried a little bit. But I think he might be able to take over that passing down work. He's got a little run this preseason. It has looked okay. He hasn't looked terrible, and he hasn't got hurt yet. So, CJ Prosise. I've just been kind of waiting for this guy to stay healthy and get a fair shot, because I feel like they want to give him a fair shot, and they've even tried to give him some real meaningful run when other guys got hurt. But then of course he didn't last very long. But when he's been in, he's looked pretty dynamic. He can catch the ball really well. He's a good size. He's not like a small guy or anything like that. It's just he needs to stay healthy. So he's a guy that you can get cheap, and most people have kind of tried to shy away from the Seattle backfield, especially with Penny coming in. But I think Prosise is going to be the pass catcher there.
Well, you still have McKissick. You still have Mike Davis, or no?
And Mike Davis is still there.
But Mike Davis, those guys are buried. The only reason they got any run is because everybody went down ahead of them. So I don't think McKissick is better than Prosise by any means, and I don't think Mike Davis is better than the guys in front of him. It's just that, I mean, Mike Davis has been in the league for like 5 years.
Opportunity,
but yeah, it's totally opportunity. He looked decent when he was there, but I mean, their offensive line isn't the best.
Right.
The situation isn't the best. I just like CJ Prosise's game, man. I just want him to stay healthy.
Do you feel like all of Travis's truthers are all injured guys? Like they were all injured last year?
Yeah, I try to stay away from injury guys.
Maybe it's his personality, like he wants to help, like he wants to be, like he's like, he feels bad for...
Like he needs people that are needy in his life.
He's got
a
good heart.
Well.
He wants to help.
Right.
And so that is obviously coming out in your personality with your truthers. Like
I like to find deals, man. The bargain bin sometimes is where you find those good deals.
You find them in the hospital.
If you want to find guys that are injured and guys that are trying to unload players that get injured, you come to me, because the second that guy is injured, he's gone. He's like that, gone.
Bang.
Before you blink. We have like 2 minutes. I'll run through my last one. Is Josh Allen. I am a firm believer in Josh Allen because of what I saw, and not necessarily his stat line or anything else. I just have seen him make some incredible throws on the run, across his body, over the middle. He went to Wyoming. He didn't have much around him there. It wasn't like he was some big school that had all this, elite talent around him. But he looked great, And I think that I'm just impressed by the fact that he has such a strong arm. And yes, his accuracy is a little all over the place. But for where he's going in Buffalo, it's not like he's has to do anything. Like they're not expecting to go to the Super Bowl or anytime soon. So there shouldn't be any pressure on him whatsoever. Now that McCarron's kind of hurt, I can't wait for him to actually get a fair shot to compete with Peterson and maybe even be a starter somewhere during the season. But I didn't want to say I'm 100% truther in him, because there was a time where you guys and talking to Tony and you and Travis kind of got me off him a little bit of like, I started getting down on him because out of the 5 quarterbacks that were taken in the first round, every one of you guys put Josh Allen as like the least talented or the least chance to actually become a successful NFL quarterback. And so when everyone was saying pick your guy, I started saying Josh Allen. I think that Josh Allen, whatever. But then after the draft happened and Josh Allen went to Buffalo and everything else happened, I got off him for a little bit there. And now I'm back on the train full. Not because of the McCarron injury, just because I'm back to seeing him in OTAs, seeing him throw the ball, seeing this talent that he has, and I actually believe that he will be a great NFL quarterback someday. I don't know if that's going to be on Buffalo, though. That's the problem.
I still, to this day, have him behind those guys. I still have Mayfield.
Yeah. Okay.
Mayfield, Rosen, and
Like Lamar Jackson.
Hey, don't rain on the Allen party.
No, Lamar Jackson, Rosen. You think that Rosen's going to have a better career than Josh Allen?
I think he's set up. Yeah, I'm still planting my flag on Rosen.
But that's because
I do like
but
Mayfield
talent-wise. You're talking about because of the situation, right?
Well, both really, talent and situation.
I don't
Both.
believe in Josh Rosen like much at all. Who's it? Mayfield, Rosen, Jackson, Darnold. Darnold I like a lot actually too. I like the 2 guys that landed in the quote unquote crappiest situation. One guy landed in Buffalo, the other guy landed in New York Jets. Like when you hear those 2 names, it's just synonymous with like them being shitty teams. And I like both their talents because both of them are going to be down a lot. They're going to have every opportunity because it's not like they're on these powerhouse teams that like have to come right in and succeed right away. They're not expecting much out of them. So I think they have the better opportunity than the guys that like the Mayfields, who's going to be stuck behind Taylor for at least a year, and Josh Rosen, who's now going to be behind Bradford for at least a year.
That's right. You come to your boy's
All right.
rescue. You
So
come
Josh Allen,
defend that boy.
I'm part of the Josh
There you
Allen
go.
fan club on Facebook too.
You're the president, I thought.
No, I can send him a couple memes. I think I know the guy that runs it.
You and Colin are on that train.
Choo choo.
The Colin Train. Whoop whoop.
Hey, his intangibles, man, there's
Anybody?
something to see.
Anybody that can run to the left on a full sprint, turn to the right, and throw across his body to the other side of the field, and just be any semi-accurate. People won't even try to make that throw in the NFL. But this kid's arm is that strong that I saw in Wyoming many times where he's running to the left sideline, throwing to the right sideline, and still hitting guys. That to me means the arm talent's there. If he can get somebody to rope in his accuracy and maybe work on that a little bit, I think that he's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right, end it with the best one. Let's crack it.
Crack it.
Crack.
Fucking Josh Allen.